Okay, good morning, good noon, good evening to everyone watching everywhere in the world. It's July 15, 2025, and we'll be giving you updates with the USCIS, what's going on. For those who are just joining or are just new to this video, I'm Attorney Pam Polka, and I have with me Attorney Jane. Um,
Hi.
we will we will be talking about updates. So I will give the floor to Attorney Jane first. I think this is more. This update might be doing this in the next few days, so it's much better to understand and know what to do. Attorney Jane.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Pam. Oh, hi. Hello to our friends and followers here at Philam Law Firm PLLC. So, with all these updates coming out here and there from the USIS, we just would like to share our personal experiences in our actual practice and what had recently transpired with our clients so that we can also share some tips and you are able to prepare yourselves if you will be going through the same situation. So for example, for me, I had last week a an interview with the client that I assisted at the Tampa, Florida USIS field office, and it was for his N400 application for naturalization or becoming a US citizen from being a green card holder. And so what was unique in his situation was that he came in from abroad through the Mexican border without any visa, and he did get apprehended or detained in the USIS officer's room at the border, and he was able to apply for parole to enter and file his asylum. In the meantime that he had an asylum case, he was able to met the love of his life. They fell in love. She is a U.S. citizen, and then they got married pending the asylum case. And in the meantime, he was able to successfully adjust to green card status or as a permanent resident. And then now here comes the citizenship application so that he could finally be a U.S. citizen. As you may all know, for those who are applying for this citizenship, there are three salient points that you need to prove primarily for the application to be approved. Number one is your good moral character. And then number two is that you have been a resident of the USA for the past 3 years if you have been married or to a U.S. citizen or 5 years on a general qualification. And also that you have none of the disqualifications. For example, if you have any prior felonies or repeated criminal convictions, those are things that you need to get settled with before you enter into this application for citizenship. So in my in my client's situation, when we had the interview, we were there together with his wife, whom he thought would just need to drive him there because they're sharing a ride together. And that, for posterity purposes, once he gets approved, they can have photo together. So lo and behold, when we entered the USIS officer's office, when he was called up, I was surprised that the USIS officer was so encouraging and welcoming of the wife because I said, I introduced myself as the lawyer and my client and then the wife. And then when we were inside the room, the officer said, I mean that this is an I-751 or removal of conditions interview aside from the N400 citizenship interview. And I was surprised because we didn't get them prepared for that. And my client also did not get any notice for the removal of conditions interview. However, since this was delegated to me for interview only as a collaborating counsel, I did not get to ask him beforehand if his removal of condition was already approved prior to the citizenship application. And so the surprise came because before, in my experience, if you have a removal of condition and you apply for citizenship, they usually just decide on the removal of condition
Yeah.
based on whatever documents that they
Mm-hmm.
have. And then they schedule you for interview for the citizenship. But this time around, as I have learned that they really have to undergo with the removal of conditions interview based on the bona fides of marriage, particularly. So the officer also said when I asked what's the best remedy right now, because we didn't get prepared for the removal of conditions interview, because it's very important that the husband and the wife are ready for it, because otherwise it might be denied, and correspondingly the N400 citizenship interview might also be denied. So I told the officer that what's the best remedy, but she said that they don't issue requests for evidence for removal of conditions, meaning if they schedule you and do the interview today, you better be sure that you complete all the requirements. Otherwise, after the interview, they will rule whatever documents they have. So good thing was my client was, he was an engineer from abroad, and he himself was very diligent with his documents. He was able to assure me that he has updated tax records and bank statements, insurances, and other common documents to prove that they have been legitimately married and living together as husband and wife. And I was relieved. And the wife was also a psychiatrist, so she was confident. They said, like, yeah, bring it on. We're married. I mean, there's nothing to hide. And I think I like that response that the officer saw that, because it presumably shows also that, they have been confidently living together as husband and wife, and that the only thing that really the removal of conditions wants to know about. And so they did, and they were very fluent about explaining how they met. That's very important. They really ask how you met, especially in the situation of my client that he had a pending asylum. We don't want him to be suspected that he has a marriage fraud reason for going into the marriage with the U.S. citizen. And clearly, with the way they explained their marital life together, that the stepchildren are loving the father, my client, and that they have also joint resources and start building a life together. The USCIS officer was kind and happily giving them encouragement as to their married life. And then we proceeded to the N400. So I just wanted to ensure everyone that you need to prepare if you have prior convictions or arrests or detentions. You have to reflect it correctly on the yes or no answers of your N400 questionnaire, because that was the tricky part on my client, because in the application, they have erroneously answered yes on the question of have you been deported, because he was confused that he thought that the removal proceedings was the one also being referred to with the question. And good thing he was allowed to explain that he was never physically taken out of the US. So therefore the answer should have been no. So these are situations when you are blessed, when the officer is very considerate about asking and being able to see the truthfulness of your answer. Because in other situations, when they see discrepancies, they just simply deny, and we don't want that to happen to our clients simply because of a misunderstanding, especially if English is your second language. But we came prepared. You have to bring all the closure documents of your cases. So if there was no record anymore because it was expunged, you need to bring a current certified true copy or originally signed that there's no record available, and certified true copies of all your court proceedings and arrest proceedings. That way you don't need to get a request for evidence after your interview. And also one more thing is you need to go through and understand each of the yes or no questions, especially with the new N400 forms, because the purpose why you're asking why they have so many yes or no questions there is because they want to make sure that they will have grounds to renounce your citizenship later on if they have proven that you have lied under oath in your application. So be very careful with your yes or no. If you don't understand, you better ask your immigration lawyers what the meaning is if you answer yes or no. So those are the very current ones that I've seen that we never saw before. And I just want you to give a heads up. so that when it's your turn for your citizenship interview, you get ready with current and updated documents and certified true copies or original signatures, because before they just allow you to submit photocopies, but even if we did
Yeah.
that for our client, they still ask for the certified true copies. So get ready ahead of that.
That's
That's
a
all for
good
my
point.
turn, Attorney Pam, for
Yeah,
the
that's a
N400.
good point, Attorney Jane, because I also have an update. It's similar to this. The new one that I noticed was when we concurrently file the I-130 and 485, if you file them together, before they usually do not discuss and interview the petitioner on the I-130. They will go straight to the beneficiary and interview the beneficiary on the 485. But now, lately, I think that was in North Carolina. What they did was after they interviewed my client, they immediately asked the petitioner, now it's your turn. We will do the interview for the I-130. So the petitioner was like, what? so, so it's a good thing that the petitioner, more or less, the questions are general. For that, but it could rattle a client, it could rattle a beneficiary or petitioner if you are not properly prepared. So for those of you, this is just, some tips for you to do. If you're the one preparing for your petition and have filed it, if you're not comfortable with the filing, you're worried about questions you might ask and how you answer those questions, you can consult an immigration attorney and just request that you will be prepared for that, prepared for the
Yes.
interview. You don't have to pay for the entire, filing and everything. So for us immigration attorney, we can prepare you for the interview proper. So we would review all your documents. We will check on it if you have all the documents you have with you, and what could be the additional document that you can add to whatever you've filed. So those are crucial, as what Attorney Jane was telling. You need to get all those documents ready. Maybe you forgot to file another form, or maybe you forgot to get the decision of your case, or sometimes during the prep, your attorney will go through each and every questionnaires, and you would find out, I did not understand that questions. Therefore, my answer is supposed to be this. And then I have to get a new document to support my answer. So these are the things that only an attorney could do and review because of the attorney's knowledge and experience. You can inquire with any law office, immigration law office. They are available for that. So I think it's a wise decision to just prepare yourself. The expense that you will pay for this will be minimal in comparison with the fact that you will be in an immigration court. They will, if in case they will forward you to the immigration court and they found, let's say, fraud, they found misrepresentation, but it was not really your intent, but it looks that way. So they will forward that to the immigration court. Then you will have to pay a bigger amount because that's
Yes.
going to be a full-blown case. So to prevent that, and it's a good measure, try to consult an immigration attorney. Free consultation will do. You can negotiate with them, like, can you prepare this? I mean, all of the immigration attorneys now understand the situation, so it's easier to talk to them. So go ahead. There's a lot of changes going on with the USCIS. So the other thing that I want to discuss with you, or for everyone listening, is the what you call this one, the I-693, or the medical report, the vaccination. So before, what three the old situation was, it's good for 2 years. Whether or not you withdraw that, whether or not you got denied, you can still use that as long as it was issued within 2 years. Okay. And then it was changed. In November 2023, if I'm not mistaken, it was changed to indefinite, meaning as when you get the medical certificate, it's good indefinitely. So whether you withdraw, there is no time limit. Now, there is a new rule that it is effective and valid while the action or the other petition to which you are attaching that application is pending. Okay, what do I mean by that? If you have a green card application and you need to attach your medical and vaccination record that you will get from your civil surgeon, while the 485 is pending, it is valid. If the 485 is denied and you will reapply again, you need to get a new one. If you withdraw that 485, you still need to get a new one. So it means that while the 485 is pending, your I-693 is also valid. But if it's withdrawn, if it's denied, it's no longer valid. So you need to get a newer one. Pay attention to that because they will deny you or they will request an RFE. You'll be lucky if they have an RFE, but if they deny you, because now the rule is you cannot submit your 485 without this vaccination and medical record filed along with it. So if you don't have that, they might request you for an RFE, which will delay your case, or they will either, they will not file it. They will return it back to you because they're looking for that particular document. So be mindful of that. And the other, we were talking about naturalization earlier with Attorney Jane. The other update now is the disability exemption. When you file for your N400, some of the clients are requesting for an exemption from their English and civics test, okay? Because you will be getting those when you do your naturalization. So there is actually an exemption where you don't need to take that. And for that exemption to apply, you need to file a I-648. That is your, as proof that you have a disability. You have a physical, mental impairment or physical impairment or disability. So before you use that and then submit it with your N400 when you apply for that. Now the rule is the doctor which issued that certificate has to explain that your disability, your mental impairment is going to affect the way you answer your civics and your English test. It's not enough that you will have a disability that I certify that she is disabled or she is mentally impaired. No, the doctor has to explain how will it affect the English and civics test. And there is another requirement that the impairment has to exist for the last 12 months, or it could exist still in the next 12 months. So there is a 12 months requirement prior or 12 months moving forward. So those are the requirements. There has to be, the doctor has to explain that in the certificate for that particular I-648 to be valid. That's the latest now. So those are the changes that's going on with the USCIS.